Father who is in heaven. A woman calls him good teacher. Why callest thou me good? Why do you call me good? It's only the Father who is good. So you don't walk away with the message that he was the third Godhead or that he needs to be worshipped. Not explicitly. You will find vague hints to the Trinity. But vague hints cannot be acceptable when it comes to the most important message. The most important message in the Quran is the oneness of Allah. It's on every single page of the book. If I give you a booklet, how to fix a flat tire, you read the whole thing, it has to address the topic, how to fix a flat tire, clearly and explicitly. But what if you read the whole thing and there's only a hint, a vague hint to how to fix a flat tire? That doesn't work. So how can it be that the most important message is whatever it is, John 3:16, or the propitiation of the Lord's anger through the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, or whatever? How can it be the most important message that he is divine and he came to die for people's sins? But it's not there clearly and explicitly. How many times does he give speeches on the roadside, in people's homes, in the temple? How many times does he give sermons? Not once does he say, listen up people. It's very clear. I am the third Godhead. I am divine. You need to worship me. So the message has to be clear and explicit. And you cannot accept vague against the Trinity. Because it's the most important message. It cannot be vaguely alluded to. It has to be clearly mentioned. And so when you look at the teachings of the Old Testament, and you look at the teachings of the New Testament, you will find constantly that there is one God. I am your Lord, besides me there is no God. And then you look at the message of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and it's the same exact message. The Ten Commandments don't change, and it's one God that is worthy of worship. And you find that the Quran mentions all the other prophets, and mentions their names, it mentions the events in their lives. And if this book were written by an impostor who pretended to be a prophet, then he would spend the majority of the book talking about how great he was, and talking about himself, and not talking about other prophets. Jesus is one of the top 5 of the greatest prophets in Islam. And it's no joke, and you cannot pick and choose from issues of belief. Islam is very strict in issues of belief, more flexible in issues of dealings and worship. In issues of belief, it's very strict. Out of the 1.2 billion Muslims on earth, if one of them today stood up and said, I don't believe in Jesus, or I believe in all the prophets, but I don't like Solomon, then he's not a Muslim, or she's not a Muslim anymore. It's not like they're 98% Muslim. It takes them out of the fold of Islam. So, an impostor, why would he make that a stipulation in his made-up religion? That you have to believe in these other men who came, versus you just have to believe in me, which is what an impostor will do. So we find again the consistent message of one God, also in the Quran. That all the prophets came from the same place. That if I were to take you back some thousands of years ago, suppose someone says, yes, this is the time of Jesus, alright? So Jesus was right there in front of him, and he is a prophet sent by Allah to teach people. And he said, well, I choose to follow Solomon. He was a prophet of God, so I'm following Solomon. They tell him that God sent you, a prophet, right now. He's here on earth now, today. And his message is here, and he was sent for you. Yes, but I know that they came from the same place. I mean, they all came from God. So I'm just going to stick to what Solomon did. Can you ignore the prophet that Allah sent for you? Even though you were following one of the prophets of Allah, surely you were. But this one was sent now, with the new message, with the latest version. And you're going to say, no, I'm going to fall back on the old teachings. And so many people are doing that right now. Where they believe in the true message of Jesus, or they believe in the current message of Jesus, or various different messages as people interpret them differently, but they refuse to follow the new prophet that was sent to them 600 years after Jesus, with the same message, but some things were abrogated, and the way to pray, and all these details are in the new message. But they say, no, I'm going to choose to follow this message. And that's why, if you look at it, the Jews, they believed in everybody from Adam, and including Moses, Aaron, David, Solomon, Abraham, Lot, but they stop at Jesus. They don't follow, they don't believe in Jesus. But then the Christians did a better job, and they believe in everybody from Adam, including all the list of prophets we mentioned, and they believe in Jesus, but they stop at the Prophet Muhammad. And then the Muslims do a better job, believing everybody, including Jesus and including Muhammad because he was a prophet of Allah sent to you. Sent to you. The message of the Quran is to all of humanity. Wherever you're from and whoever you are, that's the message sent to you. It's where Allah tells you how He wants to be worshipped and how you should worship Him. And He tells you the rules of this world, the do's and don'ts, and He warns you of the day of resurrection, which is the day that everybody in this room and outside of this room will experience. So the first of the 5 pillars is that you believe and you worship Allah alone, and He's the only one worthy of worship, and that the Prophet Muhammad is His servant and His messenger. After that then, becomes the prayer, and you pray 5 times a day, and this is the least that you can do. And it only takes moments out of your day, and it's not really a disruption of your daily routine. It's actually the highlight of your daily routine, because we were put on earth to worship the Creator. So it doesn't make sense that we go through the entire day, not once thinking of the Creator, and then claim that we are here to worship the Creator. So 5 times a day you worship Him alone, and that makes sense, so He's the one that gives you everything that you have. And then after that, there is a small percentage that you give out of your yearly savings, not earnings, but 2.5%. So if you save $1,000 in the bank for over a year, you give $25 to the poor. That's it. And I guarantee no one in this room is that stingy, that they don't want to give $25 out of $1,000. And I guarantee that everybody in this room gives a lot more than that every year. That's all that's required of you. The third is there is the lunar month of Ramadan, and most of you are aware of it. And this is 1 month during the year when you try to put your effort and do your best into being good, being well-mannered, watching what comes out of your mouth, and you fast, which is the physical side of it. But the most important part of it is what comes, what happens during the month. Your worship, you excel in worship for this 1 month. And I'm sure no one in the room has any problem with worshiping Allah after all the good that He does for us. Spend 1 month out of the year in worship. Allah could have chosen 6 months out of the year, but it's just 1. And then, the last thing is the Hajj journey, the pilgrimage that you make to Mecca. Once a lifetime if you're physically and financially able. That's it. These are the 5 most important things in Islam. So if these 5 things did not turn you off and they did not scare you away, then you actually now have agreed with what makes you a Muslim. So now you have the ingredients of what it takes to become a Muslim, and do not think that this will be a departure from the teachings of Jesus. This is actually in line and the continuation of what all the prophets came with. And so perhaps with that, it's best to end here. So it's a good time for questions and answers. I would like to thank all of you for your attentive listening. I would like to encourage all of you to talk to the Muslims around you, those who are wearing the green shirt that says, "What is the purpose of life?" Ask them about Islam. Take books as free material, and don't let your bills and your work and your exams and papers take precedence over the most important thing, which is the purpose of life. But obviously, before I leave, I would like to ask, who would like to become a Muslim right now? From the non-Muslims in the audience. I am the brave soul to take the first step. Who's going to do that? Okay, who would like to do it later and not put their hand up right now? Put your hands up. Okay, good. So what we'll do, please, look into it more. Please talk about it more. And there's a lot of material in the back. And those of you who agree with the 5 pillars of Islam, who agree with the basic message that we have spoken about today, you actually have the ingredients of a Muslim. So it doesn't make sense for you to not accept Islam if you believe that only one God should be worshipped, that the Prophet Muhammad was probably one of the prophets of Allah, since he came with the same basic message as all the prophets before him, and he fits the mold of a prophet in his teachings and in his actions and in his sayings. And so, if you have come that close, then it would be a shame to not become a Muslim, and do not let anything else deter you from that. But again, I'd like to thank you for listening, and may Allah extol and send blessings of peace upon His final messenger Muhammad. Sallallahu alaihi Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.